Welcome to Muscles and Magic the Gathering. I'm Bobby Maximus. I am the muscles. These cards, Magic the Gathering, something that's been a massive passion of mine since 1994. I started in Unlimited, and yes, I have been playing. I have been collecting for over 3 decades, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have you here to show off my 58 Commander deck. If you've been watching the series, you know I have 57 Commander decks. This is the 58th, and I'm thrilled to talk about it. It's going to be based on the greatest Final Fantasy commander of all time, Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. By the way, Final Fantasy has an argument for the greatest Magic the Gathering set of all time. But if you like Sephiroth, if you like Mono-Black decks, if you like hurting other players' feelings in the pod, if you like sack outlets, if you like cards that do damage while gaining you life and gain you life while doing damage, if you like unlimited combos, I got to tell you, you are in the right place. So without further ado, let's talk more action. Let's get right down to business, and let's talk about Sephiroth. Now, I have a beautiful Japanese printing of the card here, but I've got it up on my side computer. I'm looking at my Mox Field right now, and just so you know, this list, this deck list, because I know you're going to want to copy it. I know you're going to want to get some ideas from it. It is in the show notes, all right? But the English version of this card, I've got it pulled up right here, Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. Whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. This is absolutely massive in this deck, and this goes bonkers with a few cards in this deck. This is the fourth ability. This is the fourth time. I can barely read this card. I'm so excited. If it's fourth time this has happened, you transform Sephiroth. What do you transform it into? The one-winged angel. Supernova, by the way, it's flying. It's an angel. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, one-winged angel, you get an emblem with, whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life, kind of like a Blood Artist effect. And whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So we're going to take massive advantage of that. We're going to put Sephiroth off to the side, and we're going to talk about creatures. And before we go on, listen, I know, I need a Blood Artist in this deck. I do not have one. It's an essential card in this deck, but I just don't have another one. All my Blood Artists are used in other decks, and that's something interesting about this show. Before we go on to the creatures, I got to tell you, I'm actually going to put this right back here so you can have a look at it. But I got to tell you, this is the most real Magic the Gathering content show in the world today. Why? Because I use real cards. No proxies. I don't have a problem playing with proxies. I just don't use them. Other people are free to. I only build decks with real cards. That's really, really important to me. All right? Another thing, I don't put graphics on the screen. While that's cool and all, I only build decks from real cards. So sometimes I have limitations because I just don't have the cards. I will order a Blood Artist. I will trade for one at convention. I will get one at some time, but I just wanted to put it out there. And I wanted to actually use it as like a teachable moment. Sometimes when you're trying to build these decks, you just don't have all the cards. And so you have to look to alternatives. And so I think for that reason, you'll see some unique things in my decks. And again, I'm the most real Magic the Gathering creator in the world today. So all that said, let's go on with the creatures. Let's talk about the Grave Crawler. The Grave Crawler can't block. You may cast Grave Crawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. It costs 1 black mana. Put that in the graveyard, get it out, sack it. Get it out, sack it. It works incredibly well with Sephiroth. But you want to know what else works? And here is our first unlimited combo of the day. You want to wipe out the entire table? Look at this. The Gravecrawler, the Worn Soul Trader, and Sephiroth on the battlefield, of course. The Worn Soul Trader, you pay a life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. So let's talk about how this is going to work. You're going to pay a life. You're going to sacrifice another creature, which is going to be the Grave Crawler. When you sacrifice the Grave Crawler, remember what Sephiroth says. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So you don't have to worry about losing the life from Worn Soul Trader. You're going to get it back. You're going to get to do damage to an opponent which is great. And then Warren Soul Trader is going to resolve. You get the treasure token, and then you can recast Gravecrawler and do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. How many times can I say that? Infinite times, and you can wipe out the entire table. So absolutely incredible combo right here. I just wanted to feature that so bad, an integral part of this deck, but the Gravecrawler and the Warren Soul Trader. We have Jadar, Gold Collar of Nephalia. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Great way to use Sephiroth. All right. Fleshbag Marauder. When this creature enters, each player sacrifices a creature of their choice. And we got a lot of zombies here because I do want to make sure I can trigger Gravecrawler. A Cursed Marauder. When a Cursed Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. Carrion Feeder. Sack Outlet. Put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. You know the Gristlebrand had to make an appearance. And no, I don't care about the banned list. I don't like the banned list. I don't respect it. I don't agree with it. It's oppressive. It's hypocritical. It's unfair. And I believe that all cards should be allowed in Magic the Gathering. Just put them on the Game Changer list. You're not going to sit there and tell me I can't use a Gristlebrand. Will you smile at me from across the table and hammer me with that degenerate combo theoretical? You're not going to look at me from across the pod while you've got a Vivi and an Agatha Soul Cauldron on the table and get mad at me for the Gristlebrand, especially when it costs 8 mana to bring out. So free my guy, Gristlebrand. I like banned cards. Get used to it. Ophiomancer. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch. Again, sack fodder. Nether Trader. Shadow. And whenever another creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a black mana. If you do, return Nether Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. Bloodghast. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Incredible card. Love this one in this deck. Whenever Iara First Eloquator or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Sacrifice another black creature, draw a card. This is another card that works incredibly well with that Warren Soul Trader and Gravecrawler combo. Wriggling Grub. When Wriggling Grub dies, create 2 1/1 black and green worm creature tokens. Viscera Seer, sacrifice a creature, scry 1. The Umbral Caller Zealot, sacrifice another creature artifact, surveil 1. The Raven Man. I love decks that allow me to use cards I wouldn't normally play with, and this is the perfect example. This card is incredible in this deck. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded a card this turn, create a 1/1 black bird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. Pay some mana and tap it. Each opponent discards a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Starscape Cleric. Offspring. If you do pay that cost, you get a 1/1 token copy of it. Flying, this creature can't block. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses a life. Do you have any idea? A lot of these cards with this Blood Artist style effect, how well these start to stack in a Sephiroth deck. The Reassembling Skeleton, especially because we're going to be just nuking all kinds of creatures, right? Return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Tap, so a great way to get some reanimation to sacrifice it again. Pitiless Plunderer. Slow down, big guy. I know you're excited. This is your 58th Commander deck. Yes, I am talking to myself in third person, but whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. What an incredible way to win the game. I think my printer just went off back there. Maybe it's going to print me some proxies. Just kidding. You know, I do not play with proxies. Anyway, the Pitiless Plunderer. Imagine this was on the board when you had that Warren Soul Trader and Gravecrawler and Sephiroth out. Okay. Phyrexian Obliterator. Trample. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. I love this card. I wanted to feature it in my Phyrexian decks, but they're both helmed by their respective Atraxes. And with 4 black mana, you're probably only putting this in a mono-black deck. So love that I could include it. Game Changer Alert, Orcish Bowmasters. I think it's the best card in Lord of the Rings. I'd actually love to hear your opinion on that. Is it this or is it the One Ring? But incredible in this deck. Morbid Opportunist. You know we have a lot of creatures dying in this deck, in this game style, so we're going to get a lot of card draw. Forsaken Miner. It can't block it. Again, another example of those cards you wouldn't normally feature, but they're going to work in a Sephiroth deck. Whenever you commit a crime, you can pay a black mana and return it to your hand, or not to your hand, to the battlefield. Endrick Sar. Perfect in this deck. Another card that I had that needed a home. I like in all my decks to feature all the cards from the Magic the Gathering universe. So whenever you play a creature spell, put X 1/1 black, throw creature tokens into play, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. When you control 7 or more thralls, sacrifice Endrick Sar, Master Breeder. Braids, Risen Nightmare. At the beginning of your end step, you may sack an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent, shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life. You draw a card. Dribnot. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Insane in this deck with all the Blood Artist type effects, and you can make it indestructible. Talk about combos. Sheoldred, Gristlebrand, a marriage made in the absolute bowels of the 7 circles of hell. Death Touch, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. The Vein Ripper, whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. I'd love that on the board with the Warren Soul Trader and the Grave Crawler and the Sephiroth. And then the Marionette Apprentice. Fabricate 1, and whenever another creature or artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. Insane. Speaking of cards that are insane in this deck, I totally forgot the Planeswalker. The perfect home for Tevis Stat. This is one of my favorite Planeswalkers ever, but I really struggled to find a home for it in this deck. Look at this. The +2 ability, create 2/0/1 black thrall creature tokens. Sack fodder. The +1 ability, you may sack another creature or planeswalker. If you do, draw 2 cards and draw another card. If the sacrifice permanent was a commander, so you can basically make Sephiroth go off, transform into the one-winged angel, sacrifice it, bring it back, do it again. All right, Tevis Stat is an absolute beast in this deck. The final ability, I'm just going to steal all the commanders. So those are the creatures. That's the Planeswalker. Now, let's talk about some other things. Sorceries and instincts. Reprocess. Sacrifice any number of artifacts, creatures, and or lands. What a great way to just trigger Sephiroth immediately. All right. Draw a card for each permanent sacrifice this way. Card draw is everything in Commander. One of the greatest mana ramp cards of all time. Dark Ritual. Snuff Out. Incredible removal spell. Speaking of Flare of Malice, you may sack a non-token black creature rather than pay this spell's mana cost. I don't know why more people don't play with this in a black deck. It is insane. Each opponent sacks a creature or planeswalker with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Great card in this deck. One of these MDFCs, love MDFCs. You can never have too much mana, but it can also act as a removal spell. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, Fell the Profane. Deadly Rollick, one of the best removal spells ever because it features Exile, a great way to get rid of indestructible creatures. And Deadly Dispute, another sacked outlet type card. You can draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Yawgmoth's Will. I'm lucky to have a bunch of these. I actually got to pull this up right now just so I can show you the depth of my collection. Let's go to my Moxfield, a different screen. Let's go to my decks. Let's see how many Yawgmoth's Will Bobby Maximus owns. How many do you think? Looks like we have 9. I would have said more, but 9 is good enough for me, and an auto include in almost any black deck ever. I almost cannot believe, I got to look it up here. I almost cannot believe this is a game changer. That's how good this card is. But until the end of turn, you may play cards in your graveyard as though they were in your hand. Cards put in your graveyard this turn are removed from the game instead. Thoughtseize, great way to look at somebody's hand and get rid of a card. Feed the Swarm, it's called Primogenesis, all right? Primogenesis in the Final Fantasy Secret Layers. Love Secret Layer as well, by the way. I actually truly love everything about Magic the Gathering. Destroy target creature, aura, enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. Merciless Poisoning or Toxic Deluge, one of the greatest board wipes ever. We do have a tutor, Demonic Tutor. Now, I always talk about the holy trinity of tutors, Demonic, Vampiric, Imperial Seal, but in this deck, I think Diabolic Intent is better because it also acts as a sack outlet. One of the best board wipes in the game today, Blasphemous Edict, because it causes players to sacrifice creatures, which means it gets around that little indestructible loophole, but it also triggers Sephiroth immediately. Absorb into Time, and I believe the proper name for this card is Temporal Extortion. When you cast this spell, any player must pay half their life, rounded up. If a player does counter-absorb into Time, take an extra turn after this one. And with Agadine's Awakening, great way to get stuff back from your graveyard, and it acts as an MDFC. So some incredible instants and sorceries for your Sephiroth deck. Let's go over enchantments. Yawgmoth's Bargain, another banned card, but again, we went over that. You like Agatha, you like Vivi, you like your Heuristic Study. I'm just going to play with this, all right? I'm looking forward to the day when the committee sees the light and they unban everything. It will happen. Skip your draw step, pay 1 life. Draw card works really good with Sheoldred. Meat Hook Massacre. In this deck, this is massive, all right? Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain a life. And then when it enters, it kind of acts as a board wipe, which is great. Reoccurring Nightmare. In this deck, it's a monster. Sacrifice a creature. Return Recurring Nightmare to its owner's hand. Put target creature card from your graveyard into play. Play this ability as a sorcery. Necropotence. Insane. And again, I actually think it's funny because Recurring Nightmare is banned. Necropotence isn't, but I actually think Necropotence is a better card. Skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down. Put that card into your hand, beginning of the next end step. Super oppressive in this deck. Great pack. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacks a creature. This is so mean with Sephiroth and the Gravecrawler, Warren Soldier. It's a nightmare in this deck. That's why, again, I don't feel bad playing with banned cards. Bitter Blossom, great way to create some sack fodder. Black Market Connections, just a great utility card. You build a black deck, you need a Black Market Connections. And this card right here, have you ever seen one of these? A Gate to Phyrexia, for about $51, but is insane. Sacrifice one of your creatures during your upkeep to destroy any one artifact. You may not sacrifice a creature that's already on its way to the graveyard. Bonkers in this deck. First artifact up, Phyrexian Altar. Check this out. There we go. Same kind of effect we had with that other card, the Warren Soul Trader, and you put a Sephiroth in here or one of these other cards that when a creature keeps dying, it does a lot of damage, some great unlimited damage combos with the Gravecrawler and Phyrexian Altar, so absolutely amazing. We've got a couple of banned mana ramp cards. We have the Mana Crypt and the Jeweled Lotus. Now, I've already went down my whole tirade of the banned list. And by the way, we also have a Soul Ring, and a Soul Ring is better than both these cards. That's just a fact. If you're going to allow people to play with Soul Ring, you got to allow them to play with a Mana Crypt and a Jeweled Lotus. And I do have it. You heard it here first. Next year, I strongly believe Jeweled Lotus is going to be unbanned. So I would stock up on them now. I am buying up all the Jeweled Lotuses that I can. I am stocking up. I strongly recommend that you stock up on these because right now, they are the lowest they're ever going to be in price. When this gets unbanned, going to the moon. It's also the only thing that allows us to play with bigger commanders. I think a lot of people realize that or are starting to realize that, and they want the big commanders back. So Jeweled Lotus is going to make a comeback. I promise you. So get those now. Soul Ring, you know what that does. Bolas' Citadel, incredible black card. It is also an absolute game changer. There's 4 game changers in this deck, by the way. Bolas' Citadel, Demonic Tutor, Orcus Bowmasters, Necropotence. We have some protection, commander protection here, the Swiftfoot Boots. We have the Sword of Light and Shadow. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 as protection from white and from black. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may gain 3 life and return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Ashnod's Altar. You had 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Man, I wish that was a little bit different. It would work incredible with Gravecrawler And then we have the Darkness Crystal. The Darkness Crystal. Black spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. If a non-token creature an opponent controls will die, instead exile it, you gain 2 life. And then you can put that target creature card exiled with the Darkness Crystal back onto the battlefield under your control, some counters on it. And then, speaking of cards I wanted to feature, have you ever seen this card used in a deck? Tarian's Journal. Sacrifice another artifact or creature, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery. You discard your hand and you transform it. Check this out. 2 Alcazals. This is awesome. Add a black mana, and then you can cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield with finality counter on it. Incredible in a Sephiroth deck. We have a bunch of basic lands. Really, really cool printings that I like. I always try to feature printings from sets I like, from cards I like. I wish I had some of those Phyrexian oil slicks in here, but I do not. And now the 3 non-basics. We have Bearder. Why not? Create some orcs, sacrifice it. All right. Works with Sephiroth. We have the City of Shadows. You ever see a City of Shadows? That's an insane land. $58. With School Magic the Gathering. Sacrifice one of your creatures, but remove it for the game instead of placing it in your graveyard. Put a shadow counter on it. Then you can tap it, add X colorless mana to your mana pool, where X is the number of shadow counters on City of Shadows. Great card in this deck. We have Sign Nixos. Awesome, by Junk Park. Look at the second ability. Choose a color, add to your mana pool an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. So incredible. You have a monocolor deck. You absolutely need a Nixos trying to nix. Fast and furious episode of Sephiroth, but I got a big ask for you. I'm not going to lie. This deck right now, it's worth $1,265. It is a bracket sale. And the total mana value is 182, a little higher than I'd like it to be. I've done a ton of videos on mana value. I want to get it a little bit lower. I mean, I suppose I could take on a Phyrexian Obliterator, a Vein Ripper, and a Gristlebrand and get it down, but I don't really want to do that. There might be some other ways I can do that. At any rate, I want your suggestions for cards. I really, really do. I love Magic the Gathering, and I'm always looking to make my decks better. I'm always upgrading my decks. In fact, I might upgrade this deck right when this video is done. Like if I get a Blood Artist right now, I'm just going to go for it, put it in. I'd love your suggestions. If you have any cards that you want to add, if you built a Sephiroth deck yourself, there's so many incredible players in this community. I'd love to learn from you. So put that in the comments below. Any cards you would add to the deck. And also, don't be freaked out at the show notes. You go to the show notes and look at my deck list if it's a little bit different than the video you just saw. Because again, I might upgrade this tonight. I love Magic the Gathering with all my heart. Every single day I'm upgrading some deck that I own. My absolute favorite thing to do on the planet. So be aware of that. And again, thank you for supporting the most real Magic the Gathering creator on the planet. Real cards, no proxies, no graphics on screens, just a real guy with real cards and a person who, I just want to say this before I go, always wants to keep it positive on here. I absolutely love Magic the Gathering with all my heart. I love all the things about it. I love Secret Lair. I love Universes Beyond. I love more sets. I love more cards. I love the people. I love going to the conventions. I'm just really grateful that this is in my life. So thank you for stopping by. And part of that gratitude extends to you. Help me make this the biggest, most positive, most special Magic the Gathering channel on the planet. My 58th Commander deck, Sephiroth.